From Kansas to Canada, Kim has always worked to be a good neighbor and leader. In every endeavor through servant leadership, Kim has repeatedly excelled in several industries. A 22-year award-winning real estate career. She's been a TV producer on red carpet. She's been an event host, author, and producer, just to name a few of the things that Kim Hayden has accomplished. Now bringing a lifetime of experiences and work together in the form of resilient new media and resilient series, Kim is on a quest to grow audience awareness and expand the stage by working with women to create their multimedia authority content and produce opportunities in her agency. Kim is a self-proclaimed queen of resilience, and she addresses the pain points of confidence, credibility, and relevance that many women are challenged with. Those are the things that hold us back from really being seen, right? So by sharing Kim's stories and strategies that have built her 6- and 7-figure career, while overcoming that imposter syndrome, we've got a lot to talk about here today. Because like she says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And Kim Hayden and the Resilient series plans to go very far. And we're glad you made this pit stop on your entrepreneurial journey to be on the Dream Life is Real Life show with us today.
First of all, Hannah, that name is awesome. That name is awesome. I have to say, Dream Life is real life, and real life can be dream life. I love that. I love that you brought it all together. It's not easy. Just so you know, all the ladies out there, it's not easy. You have to, I always joke because it's like, you guys, first of all, I'm old. I'm 53. So I was told that computers would save trees and we would go paperless. I think I use more paper today. So, and I think this is like an excellent analogy for women who are in coaching or are looking to be speakers, right? Because a lot of them, their passion project, which they want to move into their passive income, comes from a pain point, right? So a lot of people create their messaging, their brand identity and everything based on something they felt that they lacked. And so it's really interesting to watch women. And I talk about women because that's who I that's who I work with. Everybody goes, can you work with me? And it's like, you know what? I like working with women. Because I believe women can ask for money and make money. It's just a matter of, are you beating the right drum and speaking to the right people?
Totally. Cheers to that. And it's funny you say that because the name of this show that you were commenting on totally came from my disbelief and awe when I started leaving my small town in Wisconsin and going to places like San Francisco and connecting with entrepreneurs and working from a beachside coffee shop. And I started exclaiming dream life is real life. No one told me this was an option. This dream life of having a great base tan, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so incredible. And it wasn't something that I forced or tried to SEO the crap out of to make a decision about how to name things, but it totally came from a place of, I didn't know I could have this, or that is really interesting. You comment on that.
Well, you're in a different era. The beauty of the blessing that we're seeing right now is we are in the age of knowledge versus the industrial age. And I love how that you have leveraged that up right from the beginning, understanding that you can work from anywhere. And that's even getting better and better with technology catching up to desire.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely big paradigm shifts in the way we're all operating, thinking, learning, earning money. And that's a whole nother conversation, right? We can sit and talk about what my astrology friends have been telling me about this, time and place reality. But I also want to look at some of these lasting mindsets or beliefs that we're still carrying with us, even as the paradigms are shifting. I talk to women all the time as well, and also happen to be one. And I find that there's these common fears that come up when we have a business, when we want to put something out into the world. We come up against these blocks of imposter syndrome, fear of being seen, fear of being judged for what we put out there. And I'd love to hear your sort of thesis statement, that the long and short of how women overcome that to become confident and show up for their business. Because I think it holds a lot of people back from really scaling. They don't want to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So credibility, confidence, and relevancy are the three things that I hear from women all the time. So, and confidence is actually twofold. It's one, them being confident and stepping forward and being put in the limelight, being put in the spotlight. And then also confidence within their brand. It's easy to have confidence within a brand that you work for, that somebody else tells you what the mission statement is and the vision statement is. It's a lot harder to be confident in a brand that is you, right? And this goes back to that whole self-awareness of why we're doing what we're doing. I hear a lot of times, especially when we talk about, coaches and speakers that are like in what you call the woohoo, right? When we look at the woo-woo, this is supposed to be this very holistic space, and money has been made separate from holistic space, right? We view money as bad. So the evil, the root of all evil is money, right? So we have all these sayings around it. But at the end of the day, the reality is you cannot do your work if you are not being paid. You cannot have value within your brand if your brand does not have value. So it's really important to get past I would do this. I do this because I love this and I really want to see it. I really want to help heal everybody or help guide everybody. And I would do it even if I wasn't making money. Okay. First of all, ladies, no man has ever said I would do it even if I was. And there's a reason why we keep giving up the majority of stages. If you go right now and you Google top speakers USA, only 3 on that list, random Google, are women. And this is wrong. This is wrong. I believe that every woman is not so unique that nobody else thinks, feels, or engages the way she does. And yet she is unique within her voice and her delivery. Are you following? So not unique, but unique.
Yeah.
And
I feel that way with writing all the time too. It's like, oh, this is all health coaches say this, all health coaches say this. And part of our process is a personal assessment. Yes, we do like Strengths Finder and Enneagram, those kinds of like personal assessments. But we ask our clients tons of questions about what makes you the expert. What are your certifications? What are 3 experiences you've had? We ask these really specific questions that they have never even thought to share what makes them special. They've just been out there trying to like play the marketing game, trying to be cooler, better, faster, louder than these other coaches. But yes, I totally believe that when you truly line up with yourself, the right people can line up with you too. But so many women are out there trying to like dress it up or not share their brilliance because we haven't really, that's not our default. Whether we were taught or not, our society has set us up that, we hold back a bit more, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot more. We hold back way too much. We see it in the lagging revenue. So when you look at the statistics, we see it in the fear of technology. So the 3 things that end up stopping women from going next level is time, tech, and talent. They don't think they have the talent. They spend so much time trying to decipher tech that they run out of time to do what they're doing. Right. And yeah, so it's this is, ladies, I'm not here to say it's easy. It is hard. If you're out there and you are generating 150, 200,000 a year already, I want you to know that you're in like the top 10%. Statistically, you're in the top 10%. So you need to step back and say, oh my God, I'm amazing. And if you're in that space, you need to invest in your brand so you can go bigger, so you can make room in that space for the next gal coming up. Right. So we're not asking for the guys. We're not asking for the 1 of 3 spots on a stage. We're asking to shove some dudes off the stage and take 5 spots on the stage. Right.
Yes.
And the world's opening up, and the call and demand for female speakers is getting greater and greater and greater. And, most women, they'll be good at one thing or 2 things, but being good at it all is a challenge. So, we also tend to work in silos. We as women tend to work in silos. And I've heard this so many times from women entrepreneurs and coaches and speakers. They're afraid to engage because they've been burned by other women. And so they tend to work in a silo. What happens when you work in a silo, when you work in that? Every time you put something out, it echoes back to you twice. So you think you're doing the right thing. You're not getting that real bounce off of what does the public want, or, what is the language they'll respond to, or anything. So it's fascinating how we can all get stuck in that silo because we're not getting out and speaking. We're not getting out and networking. We're not getting out in large scale opportunities to hear that maybe we need to switch it up a bit, or maybe we need to be on a different platform or another platform.
Yeah. And I want to dive into that. I want to get really strategic, if you will, about where women can be seen. So we know it's a problem that they're not showing up there, but how many of us have a microphone on our vision board, or would love to be that go-to expert, or wonder if we'll be a thought leader someday? For those of us who have that on the vision board or set it as a goal every year and never really know exactly how we're going to rise above the noise and get out of the social media weeds, what are some of the first actions that we can take, or what do we need to have in place to really make that part of our scaling business plan?
Absolutely. Great question. First thing everybody needs to know is that everybody keeps going, well, where's the money? Where's the media coming from? Who's going to invest? Nobody's going to invest in you until you invest in yourself. Period, point blank. In the media world, so let's just take broadcast television and networks. Netflix now is looking at doing a pay-to-play model. HGTV has a pay-to-play model. Everything has a pay-to-play model out there now. Nobody is going to come to save you. Nobody is going to come to give you money because you're so great. The reality is you are not unique, yet you are unique within your message. You have to build it at some point in time. So you have to be very strategic within your building. So you need to invest in, your 6-minute speaker reel, right? You need to create this visual medium that is like a mini documentary. And then you need to go out there and find all of what we call an OTT platform. OTT platforms. So Netflix is the OG of OTT. So what that means is Netflix broke the back of traditional broadcast. And what's fascinating is during the pandemic, we saw even higher, faster rate of cutting the cord. So your OTT platforms that can push out into Apple, can push out into Roku, can push out into Amazon. These are really important. And they're as important as you would with obviously a podcast. So having a visual that you can multi-purpose is really important. Everything you do should multi-purpose, ladies. If you only can see one purpose for it, you shouldn't spend your money on it. Okay. And everything should network. So if you do it, I met a gal recently, and I understand how this happens. She spent $4,000 on a program to learn how to do YouTube. And then she spent another $10,000 on a program to learn how to write a book, and The reality is, know what you're good at, stay within that lane, and find something that simplifies everything else. So your video, 6-minute, you need that because that's your speaker reel. That's what you can send when you're looking, even if it's not a paid gig, you need to get out on as many stages as possible. And that speaker reel is your story. It's your mini documentary, why you're doing what you're doing and what is the feature and benefit of you showing up, getting published. Most people don't know this. Less than 3% of North Americans, and it's actually less than 2% in the UK, are actually recognized published authors through Amazon Author Central. Amazon, like it, love it, or leave it, it doesn't matter. The reality is it is the main level. It is the platform. And if you are not recognized there as a published author, you are not a published author. You can print whatever you want in, in a wholesale discount or so forth and so on. If you're not on Amazon Author Central, you are not a recognized published author. What recognized published authors, even if it's only 3,000 words and it is a collaborative space, the reality is there's this whole back end that is so cool. Amazon Author Central has an entire networking back end for authors that you can plug your social media in, your speaker reel in, everything. And it's a great place for event planners who are putting on these conferences to go to and verify that you are an authority. That is why being on there. And the reality is you should be in, you should have your own book, which I'm personally in the process of myself. I put it off because I'm better in a shared space and I'm better 3,000 words at a time. However, now I'm working on that because the publicist is, we have a publicist we work with, and point blank, you need your own book, but you should be in 2 collaborative books every year. Because what that does is Amazon Author Central is a network. What happens when you buy something, Hannah, from Amazon? You go on Amazon and you buy something. What comes up underneath that?
All the reviews.
And what else comes up?
Recommended. Oh, after you buy all the other things you should buy. Yes.
Yes. So if Hannah and I were in a book, ladies, what would happen is so Hannah and I have no common ground aside from female podcast, wanting to grow our own businesses. However, Hannah has a whole sphere over here. I have a whole sphere over here. So the books are much like the podcast where we cross-pollinate our authority, our messaging, and our audience. So the books give you that leverage. Typically, a co-authored book opportunity is far less than doing your own. I know that doing your own book through an actual publisher is anywhere between $12,000 and $20,000, depending on who you go through. Whereas you can go into a collaborative book for as little as $3,000. So that's awesome there. Then you take that same message and now we're moving it through. So all of your messaging is geared towards who's your avatar, who's your right fit client. So we have our video. We now have our published author. Now we're moving over into podcasting. You can attest, Hannah, as to how powerful podcasting is. And it's crazy how many people I meet that are experts at something they're doing, but they've never been on a podcast. So it is interesting. And then how to leverage what we call the OPP effect. So other people's podcasts. How do you leverage that and cross-pollinate that? So for example, Dream Life is Real Life will actually be on my website, your logo and the link right to your podcast, because that's a way to cross-pollinate. It validates me as an expert. It also helps drive traffic back to your podcast. So this is like a win-win-win all the way around. And then you have to have the speaking and you need it recorded. Just don't waste your times, ladies. Make sure everything's recorded, make sure everything's documented, because all this stuff is stuff that goes into social media. So we all forget about the social part of media. Right? So that is literally, unfortunately, like the invention of computers. It did not kill, the paper industry. It just made us use more paper. You have to have all those platforms to where they each solidify you. And then as an expert and authority and help bump up your revenue take, right? Yeah. What was
Yeah,
it?
and this really is that like omnipresence that when you get to a certain point in your business, like you said, 6 figures and beyond, celebrate and then know that what got you to 6 figures is not going to necessarily get you to the next income level. It is this authority building game. And yes, you can start a business just on an Instagram account. We watched lots of people do that in 2020, right?
Yep.
But to stand out and to really have your business be more established and not just reliant on Meta and what they're going to do on their landscape, but really take ownership of your business. You want to start showing up in these places that Kim's talking about. And I think a book is a really savvy way to get out a clear message. And then, like you're saying, like repurpose and break that down into your website, into your podcast, into other shows you go on. And then like social media is the top of the funnel, like the biggest furthest thing away from what you do. And I think this is a huge permission for people who are so focused on social and hustling and figuring out the algorithm that that's just not the game you want to be.
You're not going to figure out the algorithm. You're never, first of all, social media is not yours. It is a free thing you use to make money. At some point in time, you're going to have to pay the piper, period. I know somebody who actually lost 140,000 person account. Her entire business gone because she had no other way and everything had been leveraged in that. So when you do a book, you take your piece of your book and you make that as your free book for your front of funnel. So now you're driving traffic to your sites in a different fashion. Your stage presence can come from that. And they all want to know, just so you know, I'm not saying don't build your social media. You need social media numbers because when you go on a stage, be it virtual or live, they want to know your numbers. They want to know your numbers. It is right in the contract. So it was interesting. There was a recent study done that you should be investing 7% of what your forecasted income is every year on promotion and growth. So if you want to be at $100,000, you need to invest $7,000. How are you going to invest that $7,000? Right? Is it something you can leverage?
Like, I feel like it's more.
That's just literally on the marketing side of your brand. Yeah. I'm not even talking about, the reality is here's the truth. The cost of running business, you're going to be at 60%. Right? You're going to be at 60%. That's the truth. If you look at and you're getting, $5,000 for something, you've actually earned, $1,200 and you need to let go of the rest of that money because it has to go back in to feed the machine. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But out of that, 7% should go into your brand to solidify or create credibility pieces in your brand. It's crazy. Yeah. It's not easy, ladies. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think this is another mindset of scaling. Number one, you need to be an authority. You need to think about elevating your presence online, in person, in books. There's also this mindset that you're starting to hint at that it isn't our thing. Like you aren't just a solopreneur when you get to this level. It's not just going to be you like writing the book, publishing the book, promoting the book, signing, it's like you need to start to delegate and think about who's going to help you. And this is what has catapulted our business over the last 2 years. I went from doing the copywriting myself to realizing I'm always going to be the biggest bottleneck unless I figure that out. And so building a team, not just to help with writing and deliverables, but to help with posting on social media and helping other things in the business run. I put a whole lot more back into the business than I ever did before, but we're also able to multiply revenue every month because I'm not just my bottleneck solopreneur on the hamster wheel. And so
absolutely.
Big note for you, if you're thinking about taking on these authority establishing pieces, you've got to take on that mindset of a CEO, not a solopreneur, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it gets you on the road to next level, right? and there is a huge, we're already seeing it. The backlash from being locked down is that people are desperate for these networking events, these live events, these speaking conferences, all of these things. Get yourself out there. Research. When you talk about writing copy, there's AI out there now. Like, I don't know, do you use Jasper at all, Hannah?
We don't.
Yeah, we use Jasper quite a bit when it comes to writing kind of the anything like taglines or copy for a podcast or any social media and such. There's also companies like, we see Contentfly has come out over the last few years. Contentfly is actually, which is really cool. They know their niche. Their niche is, or their niche is, writers. And they found writers. They have this huge database of all these great writers who just want to make their living writing. And instead of going out and trying to find all these different people, there's services for that, right? Remember, you want to be paid for your service. So maybe you should pay for other people's services to help move your service along faster, grow your service faster.
Your sign, rising tall tides raise all ships. And this is what I have learned in feeling the fear and doing it anyway of hiring and delegating and scaling, is that exactly what you said. Like, there are writers who live in that zone of genius, and it would be their dream life to just get projects put on their desk every day. And I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm more of the visionary in our business. It's like, I can do the writing, but I also like being the face, and I like building relationships and networking and not just being in my little creative lair all day, every day. But there are people that exist that are different than you. Like, can you imagine this? It was actually mind blowing for me to realize, like, not everyone wants to be the face. Not everyone wants to deal with the things I deal with, that, sort of the leadership level. And if we can identify people that can live in their zone of genius next to ours, we all go further faster. Just like you said, we have a similar sort of soapboxes when it comes to
absolutely that. Well, absolutely. And I want to put this out there. I've actually challenged a few women like this, and in very different industries. And I ask, do you believe you make people's lives better? And you know what? They always say yes, because they started from a point of passion and they have a purpose. And then it comes to, it's very simple.
Yeah.
A closed mouth never gets fed.
Mm-hmm.
And is it not selfish if you know you can make somebody's life better and you don't share the message with them?
Not about you and what they're going to think of your outfit or your whatever. It's about the message. Way bigger than
I got 30 pounds to lose and I'm 53. I'm never going to be a cute 30-year-old again. These are just realities. But it does not make my message any less. I can only make myself less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful.
Powerful.
So
and I'd love to switch gears for a second and talk more concretely about what this actually means for women's life and business. So we get our authority out there, we're starting to rise above the noise. Like, what are some of those tangible results on the other side of all of this that we're talking about with mindset and writing and putting yourself out there? What do you see happening to women in businesses who take on this authority game? I don't know, call it a challenge.
Well, it is a game. No, it isn't. No, you're absolutely right. This is a game because somebody said the other day, oh, Forbes is pay to play. Yes. You know what? Everything has shifted. Forbes can't sell a magazine for love nor money. So the revenue has to come from somewhere. So unless you want everything to only be Facebook and your data to be what is their monetization model, then yes. But the reality is, it's still where people, even if you're paying into something, you're still so far above the average person, because the reality is most people don't invest. They don't understand how to move through. So you have tier 1, tier 2 magazines, you have, and remember, you take all of that and you leverage with a unique message to get on your noon news. So if you want to grow your local market, you have 8 different spheres, right? You have your friends and family, which will make you go broke and crazy. So you want to actually get past them as quickly as possible. You have your geo farm, you have your digital farm, you have your social media, you have past education, there's so many ways that you can actually farm your message out and multiply it. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to align with people who will help you. So agency, understanding when you need to align with agency, speakers, bureaus, things like that. In order to get to those $1 million marks, either you have to have a product that you can sell loads up, or a software program you can sell loads up. But at some point in time, you're going to cap on the amount of coaching you can do. You physically will cap. So now you're going into the franchisable model, and you have to be the brand. You have to be the brand. And you can't be the brand if nobody knows who you are. Everybody knows who Nike is. Everybody knows who Adidas is, Lululemon, all of these things. People know what these are because the brand has been invested in. Millions and millions and millions of dollars go in to the brand. So treat yourself like Lululemon and brand the crap out of yourself. And it's really important, and do it so it's all strategic. Every word, every piece of branding you do, every stage, every podcast has to lead to where it's going to be somebody within your space. It's going to be somebody that is aligns somewhere within the spectrum of services.
Yeah.
So
great. And I think there's some urgency to this for coaches, especially. So I do a lot with like market research, and I'm always, because our clients are coaches, I'm always kind of keeping my pulse on what's happening in the industry. And projections right now, the coaching industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry between the information age, like you said, that we're living in. But there are also a lot of coaches, and thousands more every single month at this point, that I feel like we're kind of creating a bit of a bubble where the coaching industry is not always going to be that there can be 1 million of us all charging a lot of money for our one little thing. I'm starting to see that we're going to have to condense, and coaches are going to start working together in more condensed and these more almost like conglomerates, right? We look at things like Mind Valley. How many of you wanted to be the Netflix for entrepreneurs? Well, Mind Valley's doing it. So now they're looking for the best coaches to put on that. And they're not going to go pick up the people who are just over here doing their little thing by themselves. We are going to start falling under this like leadership in the coaching industry. And wouldn't you want to be someone who gets who's at the top of this and has more authority and is established? And honestly, one of my fears, Kim, is that the people who are doing what you talk about are not the best coaches. The loudest coaches are not always the most great at coaching. And this again is like, if you're holding yourself back, but you have things that could change the world and you know what you're doing in a coaching setting, like you almost have this responsibility to brand yourself, like you're saying.
Absolutely. You do have a responsibility, and do know that whether Grant Cardone, whether you like him, love him, or leave him, right? And most
him. You know him. Doesn't matter what you think about him. We all know that.
You know him. But that is a $250,000 machine in marketing, right? Weekly, like the guy, and I think it's 170 pieces of touch through between emails and social media, right? So the reality is, if you're not investing in your brand, nobody else will. That it's just a fact. Nobody else will. I know that for myself, I research nobody can have any kind of criminal record. They can have no negative on Google, so forth and so on. So I have parameters, but I think you're absolutely correct. Not everybody who is going to get recognition deserves that recognition.
Yes, yeah. And
but I mean that's the society we live in. that is the society we live in. I mean, when we take a look at, take a look at reality TV, take a look at all these things. Do these people truly deserve the millions of dollars that they get?
Right.
Uh, it's six one way, half a dozen the
Confidence game.
other.
It is the most
Bingo.
confident people are the ones who end up there. So
People, yeah. Absolutely. Confidence.
Jam out on this all day. I feel like we could have a whole conversation just on getting confident enough. I love it. You are just a wealth of knowledge. And I would love for you to share where people can get their hands on some of these opportunities, continue this conversation, and even work with you to really get their brand out there. Where can folks get in touch with you?
Okay. So first I want to give everybody, you can go to resilientgift.com. There's a free 12-month membership in there. Is it a big giant membership? Yes, no, not really. It has a great magazine in it that has articles for women, just like Hanna, women who are making differences. We put all sorts of stuff in there, like book recommendations, because I interview a ton of authors and such. I love authors, find them fascinating. So resilientgift.com, if you go there, you'll get a free membership. I don't even ask for credit card. Just put your name and email in there. Super easy. You can email me directly at hello@resilientseries.com. And, ask a question, let's see if you are ready to go that next level. And just know that next level does take 6 to 10 months to properly channel, but you need to start. When is the best time to plant a tree? Today, because tomorrow is just another day out. So when is it best to plant those seeds of your confidence and expertise? Today. Get it started today.
I love that. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm inspired by you, Kim, and I hope that listeners take advantage of those amazing invitations that you just shared. We'll add links in the show notes. So listeners, let's thank Kim and mark your calendar, because I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life and business your real life.